there and welcome to Gaining Vision. I'm Melanie. Have you had an opportunity to subscribe to the channel yet? If not, take a second, hit subscribe, and please don't forget to like and share. Are you good at identifying strengths in others and in yourself? How do you identify strengths? Now, of course, if you see somebody who's really talented at something, perhaps they're an athlete and they've won so many races or so many games, you obviously know they're very good at that. The strengths are obvious. But what if it's somebody like a child in a class or an adult like at work? How can you identify their strengths? Perhaps, yes, you notice they're really good at a certain task, or perhaps a different subject, something they excel in, then it's obvious. But we need to take the time to really look at every individual, whether they're a child or an adult, and look at their strengths. And the reason for that is that's the best way for us to learn how to relate with somebody and help set people up for success. We all have strengths and we all have weaknesses. And we, as individuals, probably know where our strengths and weaknesses are because we live with that. We know, obviously, if we're good at English versus math, or perhaps if we're good at riding a bike or driving a car, or even good at video games or saving money. We know where our weaknesses are and we know where we have to work on it. But when you work with somebody, whether, again, a student or a coworker, if you understand where their strengths are and you work as a team collaboratively, you want to make sure you're honing in on those strengths. So first of all, it doesn't make more work for everybody, but also it makes them feel good about themselves when they're able to contribute, knowing something that they're really good at. I know that I'm not great at creating flyers. I know that. It's something to do with my vision, but it also is perhaps tedious. Not something I love doing. I also know that I'm not huge at finance. So I want to make sure that I find somebody that is really good and has the strengths to work with. I'm doing a team project right now and I have identified the strengths of my team members and I've assigned roles to them based on those strengths because it makes them feel good that they're contributing what they know and their gifts and talents. And for me, it alleviates from me from having to do those terrible things that I'm not great at. It takes time to identify people's strengths because it's usually not something you're just going to notice once. It's going to be something you see on an ongoing basis. Yeah, sometimes people have those moments where they really do great at something one time. But usually, if it's a really strong strength, it's going to be an ongoing basis. For your kids, watch where their passion is. Watch where they excel. It could be based on their grades. It could be seeing the excitement in the way they talk about a certain subject or sport. But if you identify that they don't have strengths in the area you think they should, perhaps you should find out why. And I'm talking more about kids than I am adults. But encourage them to develop those skills so they become a strength instead of a weakness. And that's the same with adults as well. And that's what performance appraisals and reports are through work. They identify the areas we do really well and the areas we still need to work on. So it may not be a weakness, but it could be something for improvement. Nobody's perfect at everything. But being able to identify strengths in ourselves as well as in others will help us work better together and help support one another's learning and growing, whether it's professional, personal, or especially with kids because they're so impressionable. I love identifying people's strengths. And once you identify them, you need to really encourage people to use those strengths to their best ability and to their advantage. Sometimes people may not see the strengths in themselves and just kind of go, that's all right. But encourage people. Say, you're really good at this. Or have you considered going to a field of this because you really excel with that? That not only encourages self-esteem, but it also will help them identify strengths they perhaps may not have identified. So what are your strengths? Are you good at identifying others? Take some time this week. Take a look at some people's strengths and let somebody know they're really good at something. Until next time, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like and share, and I'll catch you next time. See ya!